ring of a bell comes to you on a cold wind. The ring comes again and again, until soon the air is full with the sound of 1,000 bells ringing all at once. You feel a resonance in your core, a bell ringing in tune with all the others. Something in you bends, then breaks, and you are borne away on the ringing tide, just another peal among the many. The tide of bells recedes. You lever yourself up onto your knees and realize you have been here before. You stand in Bareth's realm. You are alone. And then, you are not. An indistinct figure stands before you, flickering between forms like a fire-cast shadow. A fixed, taunting grin. Bottomless black eyes. A yawning chasm in the earth. The aspects of Bareth, the Usher and the Pallid Knight, shift in and out of focus. And at their back, 4 indistinct shades hover. You feel an eternity stretch out behind each of them, reaching back to places so distant and yet so near you cannot comprehend their size. The shifting image of Bareth settles on the aspect of the Pallid Knight.
Watcher.
She intones. Her voice is the discordant clangor of gongs struck out of time.
I tasked you to discover Eothas's intentions. Tell me what you have learned.
The Pallid Knight knits her brows.
He does not seek to return to the Beyond? Intriguing.
Her sickly pale skin pulls tight across the bones of her face, as if the shell of this aspect does not quite fit the impossible creature it contains. The figure nearest Bareth dissolves and reforms in the image of a thin-lipped, ancient crone, whose face has felt the melting kiss of fire. The goddess Wodika strides forward.
Does Eothas frighten you, Bareth? He should. Magran subdued Eothas's influence once before, and yet he returned.
From out of Wodika's shadow shuffles a hunched, bald man you recognize as the god Scan. His skin is mapped with swollen lash scars, and breath whistles through the ragged hole in his face where his nose once was. He does not speak, but stares up at Wodika, with naked loathing plain on his ruined face. Wodika steeples her long, knob-jointed fingers.
We must annihilate Eothas now, before he makes a rash decision we cannot easily annul. A moon would do the job nicely.
Wodika says, and grins. Wodika stares at you down her long nose.
I would destroy it all in the blink of your wide eye if I believed it would benefit me. Empires can be rebuilt. Souls can be reforged. Do not forget it.
The figure beside the aspect of Bareth flows forward in a swirling cloud of ash. The ash falls to the tiles and reveals a molten-skinned woman, leaning on a monstrous, wicked-edged broadsword. Magran's glowing lips curl in disdain.
We must find a solution to the problem of Eothas that is neither do nothing, nor destroy the world. I acted in haste during the Saints' War. You will not goad me into doing the same now. To move against him while his plans are unknown would be the height of foolishness. We must find wisdom in precaution.
Magran says. Magran looks at you as one might a wayward gob of spit on one's shoe.
It is no business of yours what the gods decide.
Another of the silent figures steps forward, and the warm, golden light of a summer's afternoon spills across your face.
Let's all take a deep, calming breath. Perhaps cooler heads will prevail.
Behind Helia's words, you hear the soft coo of doves.
Eothas has been separated from us for too long. Isn't it possible he intends only to gather enough souls to reclaim his realm in the beyond? He should be welcomed.
You look up then into avian eyes. Through them, you see clouds of starlings converge and divide. Helia puts a feathered hand to her chest.
He wouldn't. Betrayal is not in his nature.
Scan shuffles forward.
Yes. We should welcome Eothas' return to the fold. His gratitude we can leverage to cajole him into divulging his plot. Then, when he believes himself to be in our good graces, we do as Neketaka suggests, and crush him into the earth.
Scan pauses, inspecting you.
And here is the Watcher who wiped dear desperate Alice's mind. You could have let my followers help her kill the man who tormented her. But you did not. Curious.
Scan licks the ragged edge of his lipless mouth and grins, then turns to Helia.
I did not expect such a deliciously ruthless idea from you, Helia. I am impressed.
Helia's feathered crest stands on end.
You wretched little creature.
Your point is well made, little Watcher. If self-evident, Eothas has not been known to possess a vindictive nature. Indeed, he has occasionally been magnanimous to a fault. However, if we push him to the brink of reason, there is no telling what he may do. He is, as ever, unpredictable.
Something akin to fondness creeps into her voice. The pallid knight gestures for silence.
Eothas cannot be killed, but he may be subdued. Yet to do so will take immense power and time.
She says.
Both stand in his favor.
Magrin grits her black glass teeth.
That is why we must ascertain his plans before he has the chance to put them into motion.
She begins to pace. Her steps leave little trails of fire in her wake. Magrin stops and balls her hands into flaming fists.
Even if we manage to destroy his current form, there is the possibility he could return, if he has not already absorbed all of his children.
The pallid knight casts a cold, cutting glare in Magrin's direction.
Magrin speaks too freely. That knowledge is beyond your ken, Watcher.
Neketaka waves the gods to silence.
Eothas gathers strength. His strength is a threat to us.
Her voice takes on a sharp, almost panicked edge.
There is no sensible answer to the question of a resurgent Eothas other than decisive, final action.
We will act when it is appropriate to do so, and not before.
The pallid knight steps away from the half-circle of assembled gods. She pulls herself up to a great height. The words she speaks next come not from her mouth, but from all around you.
Follow him, Watcher.
The black of the pallid knight's irises expand until her eyes are as dark and cold as the void between stars. She bends down and brings her ghostly face level with your own.
Your debt to me remains unpaid.
She stares at you, unblinking. Like a needle drawn to a magnet, you are pulled toward her one compulsory step at a time. Helpless to resist, you tumble into her impossible eyes. You fall wildly, endlessly, unable to find your bearings or slow your spin. And in the distance, above, no, behind you, comes an insistent ringing. You angle yourself toward it, searching for the sound. A small silver bell appears just inches from your fingertips. You reach for it, straining to still its interminable ringing. The moment you touch it, your soul slams into your body with all the force of a fall from the top of the sky. You blink open your eyes and find yourself on the floor of your ship's cabin, alone.
Already on it.
My lord, what do you require? I was the steward of your keep at Cadnua, my lord. Long before your time, I had my soul bound to a throne of Ardraban. And for nearly 200 years, I felt Cadnua and the comings and goings within it like an extension of myself. It is a strange connection to lose. Still, it would be unseemly for me to complain of loss to you, my lord. With Cadnua in ruins, there was little purpose in waxing sentimental over the rubble. I was able to salvage enough of your treasure and wealth to afford the purchase of the Defiant and the hire of a small crew. Unfortunately, that consumed the remainder of your once considerable assets. Under the circumstances, I hoped you would not object. I suggest we proceed to Neketaka, my lord. It is the largest city in Deadfire, and we shall be better able to get our bearings there.
With every soul, my lantern's getting heavier and heavier in my hand. They're there in my head when I sleep, and sometimes I can taste them on the back of my tongue like a smear of grit. Happens when I take in a particularly volatile soul. Go madder than I already am? I don't rightly know. It's not like I can turn my back on my duty to my god, even if it kills me. Tell me what's on your mind? Sure thing, Watcher.
Thank you again for maintaining my story in front of Vanessa and the others. I didn't enjoy deceiving them, but it seemed simpler than the alternative. I hoped you'd understand. Believe me, I take no pleasure in duplicity. After we parted, I set out to destroy the Leaden Key. It's controlled us for too long. I wanted to free Kith from it. So for 5 years I've been tracking down Leaden Key circles, searching for the places where they operate in secret, trying to undo them. The task has been more difficult than I anticipated. I don't think I fully understood the weight of the decisions I would have to make, or the burden of living with them. It was much easier when I only had to follow someone else's lead. My father's, Theos's, yours. I haven't. After we defeated Theos, I thought the hard part of undoing his work would be tracking down the Leaden Key's members and operations. Perhaps this would be easier with an example. I went to a village in Old Valia, a run-down backwater of a place. Aye, right home like it was. Centuries ago, the Leaden Key had intervened to end some heretical cult. The details were lost, but what had endured was a practice of ritual bloodletting. A gruesome, pointless tradition. At every full moon, the villagers would feed the soil with their blood. No one, young or old, sick or hale, was exempt. The village priest administered the practice. Grim old fellow. Reminded me of Theos.
Wicked old bunbag, 'tis what the lad means.
He was a tyrant. I was certain that if the villagers were free of his influence, they'd be free from the bloodletting too. So I arranged for him to have an accident. I did it for the right reasons. Not that this changed much. The old man died, and the villagers were terrified. They were convinced his death was an ill omen. They blamed it, and every other mishap that befell them, on their lack of faith. So they began bloodletting every week, turning on their neighbors for giving too little. Instead of a handful dying each year, a few perished every week. I had to do something, didn't I? I keep wondering what I might have done differently, or how I could have known better. Perhaps so. I should get some rest. It's been a long day, and you've given me a lot to think about.
Hey, this brings back some memories, huh? I want the destruction to stop. I want him to finish what he's doing and then go in peace. Only I don't see it playing out that way. If you like. I like that feeling, knowing we'd stop Theos. We were part of something big. That was something I never felt before. Not even at war. Guess I went looking for it again. Not that I wanted to tangle with gods, but something smaller. Something I thought I could manage. I looked all around the Deerwood, but that place has too many ghosts for me. Things I'd just as soon forget. Ended up moving to Adir and tracking down my parents. They went there as refugees after the war ended. In part, I guess. Adir, they still got some bad blood with Deerwood. Goes back to the Revolution. Some Adirans like to give Deerwoodans a hard time they get the chance. With my folks, a group came along and tried to take their land. Made a phony claim to it. I sat down with them and we had a friendly negotiation. One fella, I don't think he'll ever be able to look to his right again. But we came to an understanding. My folks, well, they didn't see me the same after that. I think they'd have rather given up the land than have it come to violence. And I don't know if that was something we could have avoided, or if it was the cost of trying to fix things. If you like.
Grassima, Cassita, for taking me on.
One more time, Bella. Who be the High Queen Sea Devil of the Deadfire?
Molnage!
Aye, That she be, lass. That she be. If you be having a tick, Cap, I'll be thinking that, if I be dragging you into these depths, you deserve the full sounding. When I were a wee swabby, fresh to the sea, it were Romaro that showed me the ropes and rigging. More than that, he, kept his weather eye open for me. The sea be a right poxy ore on occasion, and life aboard the Sorcerer, that and more. Malnash, our ship hunter, she were all, wet and bothered for doing me harm, and Romaro. He protected me. Mentored me too, learned me letters and navigation, handed down the Principe traditions. In time, we became close as kin or closer. And the Sorcerer, my family. Right, fantastic fucking question, Cap. Word out we're mutiny. But I'll be putting about as much stock in that as a dockside doxy for manners. Well, no, I don't normally be singing no praises of veracity, Cap. But in the matter of Romaro, I'll be hunting the truth. Fair. He be of old Valian stock. A good man and righteous. Not honest, of course, but honourable. Were our shipboard sawbones, and more than half handy at it. More than one swabby be on the old salt of deferral from the wheel. Well, only knows, Cap. She treated me like my mere presence gave offence. Why, Cap? You be feeling a bit of the old envy? Nay, we never shared a bunk. Not that I'd have kicked him out of a hammock, but, like I said, we be family. He never took advantage. Thanks, Cap. I'll be holding you to it. Ahoy, Captain. What can I do you for? I'll be a right open book, Cap. Ain't nothing that'll be putting you on my bad side. Except slaving. Start slaving and we be quits. Ask away, Cap. Formerly the Principe San Petrena. The princes, without a home, They came from Grand Valia ages ago. Now they be the scourge of the Deadfire. More than that ain't for the likes of me to say. Ask away, Cap. Raiding seafaring vessels mostly. Seasoned ships cargo. Ships themselves if they be worth anything. If they be passengers of high berth, we be taking them for ransom too. Ain't squeamish about slaying, but be avoiding it when we can. Get yourself known for killing folk. They get more likely to fight you when you come for the gold. Ask away, Cap. Aye, that I do, Cap. What not? Smell of the sea, creak of the rigging, blast of the cannons, rush aboard a right piece of prey. A mug of spice rum in my hands and a bawdy song on my lips. A lad or lass in every port and another in my hammock. Be a pirate's life for me. Ask away, Cap. Endless, Cap. We ain't a flog-stroking Rowatai navy. Twixt the seaworthy vessel and passable crew, you've managed yourself the hardest part already. Now you just need to be setting yourself to piracy, after you be talking it over with the Consuelo. No, we ain't exactly a bunch known for housing hard-ons for hard rules. Ask away, Cap. Aye, aye, Cap. Aye, sure. When I were a wee swabby, fresh to the sea, it were Romaro that showed me the ropes and rigging. More than that, he, kept his weather eye open for me. The sea be a right poxy ore on occasion, and life aboard the Sorcerer, that and more. Malnash, our ship hunter, she were all, wet and bothered for doing me harm, and Romaro. He protected me. Aye. Do right by it, and I won't be regretting it.
When you are. Not a problem.
You're far from home, farmer. How did you make it all this way in your little boat?
Why do we gotta be farmers just 'cause we're from Deerwood?
Are you a farmer?
Yeah, but you can't just assume. We got rabble-rousers too.
I'm the Harbormaster, Kauha. I must ask your reason for docking in Neketaka. Is that so? Well, Andra told me to protect the harbor, and Wodika herself signed the order. I would have had Gallowayne do it, but he was sick this morning.
Show them. Show them what you are. Yes, that's it.
What's the matter with you? What are you doing? If you're trying to scare us with some cipher mischief, save the purple flames for the tribes of the Outer Islands.
Now.
What is this?
Run for it!
So much for discretion.
It is not as easy as it seems to turn a profit in Neketaka, but there is opportunity.